I truly died. It wasn't a dream, and it wasn't a hallucination. It was a complete death. My heart stopped, my brain ceased to function. My soul left my body. And in that moment, I met him. The one I used to believe in, then doubted, then longed for, yet never dared to seek. But what left me utterly speechless wasn't the light of heaven or the peace that came with leaving this life. It was a name that God himself spoke to me. The name of a man admired by the world, Elon Musk. I remember thinking, why me? Why would an ordinary woman like me, a 72-year-old grandmother living in a small town, be entrusted with a message this immense? A message that involves technology, the future, and the fate of the human soul. But then I understood. I wasn't chosen because I was wise or worthy. I was chosen because something in me was still unfinished. There was something I hadn't let go of, a wound that hadn't healed. And maybe, just maybe, because I had once prayed with all my heart, Lord, please show me if there's still a reason for me to live. The answer came in a way I never could have imagined. I'm not a scientist. I don't know how to code. I haven't used social media in years. I don't really understand AI or brain chips. But I saw something more real than life itself. I was taken to a place that doesn't belong to this world. A vision, not a dream. And there, in that realm beyond time, I saw it clearly. The name Elon Musk, glowing in the darkness of a future where there was no prayer, no forgiveness, no soul. But what truly shook me wasn't what I saw. It was a face I never expected to appear there. A person I hadn't seen in nearly 20 years. Someone I believed I had buried in the deepest part of my memory. Someone I had sworn I would never forgive if I were still alive. And yet, I met them again in the most sacred place. And they were the first to speak. They told me I had to return, that I needed to go back and tell the world what was coming and what was being lost. Have you ever wondered what would happen if the human soul were replaced by artificial intelligence? If faith was rewritten by algorithms? If love was no longer remembered but merely encoded in data? I saw it all. And the worst part? Most people have no idea where they're being led. But before I tell you about that vision, I want you to understand why I was chosen, why it had to be me who saw it, and why the name Elon Musk echoed in the whispers of heaven. Next, you'll understand why a woman who had once lost all faith was called by name at the very edge between life and death, and why forgiveness became the key to resisting a future controlled by the very thing we created. My name is Eleanor Grace. I'm 72 years old. I worked as a nurse for nearly 40 years. I changed dressings, bathed patients, carried them through endless nights. I've watched life slip away from someone's body in that quiet moments when their eyes were open but no longer saw. I used to think I understood life and death. I thought I understood the human heart, pain, and even healing. But the truth is, I never really understood anything at all. I live in a small town called Pine Hollow, where winter lingers longer than sorrow, and summer passes by so quickly it barely touches anyone's heart. I have a daughter named Faith. She's strong and stubborn, just like her father. I raised her on my own after a quiet divorce in 1991. No yelling, no courtroom drama, just a deep cut that never fully healed. A wound that didn't bleed but throbbed quietly for decades. I still went to church every Sunday. I still read the Bible every night, but something in me had stopped believing with my whole heart. There were nights I lay by the window, listening to the wind pass through the old pine trees, wondering if God was real. Why was he so silent? If he loved me, why did he leave me so alone? My daughter used to say, "Mom, you have to stop holding everything inside. You need to forgive." I never said much back because I couldn't. I used to believe in unconditional love until it left me without warning. He walked away with a younger woman, leaving me and our daughter in that old house with unpaid bills and hearts so broken they never quite mended. I didn't blame God, but I stopped asking him for anything. I lived out of duty. I lived for faith. I lived for my 2 grandchildren, whom I loved more than I ever loved myself. I cooked, cleaned, did laundry, and taught the little ones to read the Bible every night. I did everything a grandmother is supposed to do, but inside me was an emptiness, still and quiet like a winter lake. No one could see it, but I knew it was always there. There were days I felt so numb that I couldn't feel anything at all. I smiled when I was supposed to. I offered comfort when it was expected, but I wasn't really present. My soul felt like it had drifted somewhere far away, tucked into a dark corner of time. And I began to wonder if God had forgotten me, or worse, if I no longer mattered. Then one night, I had a dream. I was standing in the middle of a vast, endless field. I called out a name, but no one answered. There was only the sound of cold wind and a faint whisper in the distance saying, "Eleanor, forgive, and you will understand." I woke up with tears in my eyes. I couldn't tell if it was fear, sorrow, or something else. I didn't know. But that morning, I quietly wrote a letter to myself. The first line was a question I had avoided my entire life. If today were my last day, what am I still holding on to that I shouldn't be? That question clung to me like a shadow at dusk. And I had no idea that just a few weeks later, I would die. And the answer would come not through words, but through a vision I've never dared to speak of until now. In that moment when everything stopped, when my heart ceased and silence fell, I, Eleanor Grace, was called to a place where words no longer mattered, where only the soul and the bare truth remained. It was there that I met him, and it was there that the journey began, with no return. It was a Sunday. I remember the morning clearly, foggy, quiet, and cold. Faith had to work, so it was just me taking the 2 grandkids to church. Nothing felt unusual. The old wooden pews, the soft organ music, the light filtering through the stained glass windows. I sat in the 3rd row, slightly to the left, just like I always did. I said the prayers, I sang the hymns, I folded my hands and whispered familiar words. But that day, there was a moment, strange moment, when I felt as if someone was watching me. From far away, but unmistakably real. I looked up. There was no one. Just the sunlight catching the image of an angel in the stained glass, silent and still. I smiled gently and closed my eyes. I don't remember exactly what happened next. All I know is that suddenly my chest tightened violently, as if an invisible hand was squeezing my heart. I gasped. My hands trembled. The children turned to me and said, "Grandma, are you okay?" I tried to smile, but couldn't. I tried to stand, but my legs wouldn't obey. Everything around me began to spin and blur. Sounds broke apart into fragments, then vanished. I collapsed in the middle of the worship song. There were screams. Someone yelled to call an ambulance. Footsteps rushed toward me. My little granddaughter sobbed, "Grandma, please wake up. Don't fall asleep. Don't leave me." I heard everything, but I couldn't respond. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. It was as if I was behind a sheet of glass, watching the world play like a silent film. My heart stopped. The doctors said I was clinically dead for nearly 6 minutes, but to me, that time couldn't be measured, because it wasn't time anymore. It was a complete stillness. No sound, no light, no shape. I drifted through a space with no direction, no weight. Like a thought not yet spoken, like a note not yet played. And then, from within that darkness, I heard something. Not a human voice, but a resonance deep within my soul. A rhythm I recognized, though it wasn't a heartbeat. It was a calling my name. Eleanor, Eleanor, Eleanor. I opened my eyes, if you could call it that, because I no longer had a body. And I found myself standing on a still, endless lake. There was no reflection, no shoreline, no end. Only fog and a thick white light that made it impossible to see more than a single step ahead. I didn't feel afraid, but I didn't feel safe either. I just felt exposed, as if every layer I had ever used to cover myself had been stripped away, and all that remained was me, just me. Then he appeared from the light. There were no footsteps, no movement. He was simply there. I don't know when he arrived, only that he had always been there. A figure radiant and white like fire, but not blinding, not burning, just warmth that reached all the way to the core of who I was. He didn't speak, yet I heard him clearly in my mind, a voice that felt as vast as the heavens and as intimate as a whisper. Eleanor, the time has come. I didn't dare look into his eyes, because I knew if I did, nothing in me could be hidden. Everything I had ever buried or denied, everything I had hidden beneath a smile, beneath duty, beneath kindness, it would all be seen. I trembled, not from cold, but because I felt my soul being opened page by page like an old book. Every line, every mistake, every hurt, every hug I withheld, every apology I rejected, every look my daughter gave me when she was desperate for forgiveness, I saw it all. He didn't say a word. He simply reached out and touched my chest. And instantly I was pulled into a stream of light, weightless, boundless. I saw my childhood. I saw my mother teaching me to pray. I saw the first man I ever loved. I saw my wedding day and the day I got divorced. I saw little Faith hugging a pillow, waiting for me to come home from a night shift. I saw myself wiping away tears in silence at the kitchen sink. I saw that I had lived as a good person, but not a free one. I loved, I cared, I cooked, I prayed, I went to church, but my soul was bound by resentment. I didn't scream, I didn't curse, but I didn't forgive. And because of that, I was not free. I broke down in tears. I said I was sorry. I told him I didn't know I was still holding on. I thought I had already let it go. He placed his hand on my shoulder, and for the first time, I looked into his eyes. They looked like an entire sky, alive and breathing, as if thousands of stars were moving within them. And then he spoke. "You have lived rightly, but not fully." Then the light vanished, and I fell into a darkness even deeper than before. And when I opened my eyes, I saw something more terrifying than death. I will tell you about the place I was taken after meeting him, a place where the human soul is being traded for convenience, a place where I saw Elon Musk standing in the center of a world without prayer, a world where silence is no longer peace, but the censorship of technology. And the truth is, you're heading there too, without even realizing it. I thought that after meeting him, everything would end. I cried, I had confessed, I had repented. I believed I would finally be at peace, but I was wrong. There was one more journey, and that was the part that truly shook me. The part that made me wake up in the middle of the night drenched in cold sweat. The part that left me no choice but to speak, even if people laugh, doubt, or turn away. I have to tell it, because I was shown something that not everyone gets to see. I was carried away as if my soul had been released into a stream of light, floating freely, until suddenly it shattered, and I found myself standing in a place that looked like our world, but wasn't. Everything was too perfect, too orderly, too silent. I was in the middle of a vast city. Towering skyscrapers surrounded me. The streets were spotless, not a scrap of litter in sight. There were no car horns, no children laughing. Everything moved with a kind of eerie precision. People walked with their heads down, eyes locked forward. They didn't speak. They didn't touch. No one prayed. No one carried a Bible. No one wore a cross. I saw a woman enter a cafe. She didn't pay with cash. She didn't swipe a card. She simply waved her right hand over a scanner, and a green light blinked on. Beneath her skin, a tiny glowing dot flickered like a firefly in broad daylight. I shuddered and asked, "Is this the mark of the beast?" And a voice answered, "Not yet, but it's what comes before." I turned toward the voice, and there he was again. The light around him wasn't as blinding this time, but gentle like the golden sun of an autumn afternoon. He pointed toward a massive building where thousands of people stood in line, slowly moving forward. I followed. And as I drew near, I saw above the entrance a name and a symbol, a twisted X like a bundle of synthetic nerves. Beneath it, the words read, "Neuralink Global Integration." I walked in with the crowd. No one looked at me. They moved as if under a spell. Soft smiles, polite nods, but eyes completely void of life. Inside were bright white rooms where hundreds of people were having devices implanted into their heads. The device was no larger than a coin, but the moment it lit up, every expression vanished from their faces. In its place appeared a flawless, artificial smile and a terrifying emptiness. A large screen came to life. Standing at the center of the main room was Elon Musk. He didn't look like the man I had seen on TV. No charm, no eccentricity, just cold, calculated authority, like a prophet of technology. Behind him were charts, brain scans, and a slogan flashing one word at a time. We do not need souls to survive. We need digitized consciousness and centralized control. I turned to him and asked, "Is this real? Is this the future?" And he answered, "What you see is what will come, if mankind chooses to forget God and worship itself." I looked again at the people in the room. They were singing, not with voices, but with data. They were praying not to God, but to the system. They were seeking eternal life, not in heaven, but in technology's promise of coded immortality. A child walked in. She wasn't afraid. Her eyes were bright. She raised her tiny hand, and a technician immediately placed a chip in her head. Her mother smiled with pride. I screamed, "No, don't do this to your child!" But no one heard me. No one saw me. No one felt anything real anymore. Outside the city, a strong wind began to blow. The screen flickered, and Elon Musk's voice repeated each word slowly, as if echoing through metal. "We will become immortal gods. Neural net, neural net, neural net." I collapsed to the ground. And he came to lift me up. Then he said, "Eleanor, no one is forced to sell their soul. They give it away because they fear suffering, fear loss, fear pain, fear death, and fear a faith they cannot see." He led me out of the building, and I saw that the places that were once churches had become digital wellness centers. The statues of saints had been replaced with LED screens playing motivational videos. Robots preached sermons powered by artificial intelligence. Scripture had been replaced with algorithms. Morality was measured by behavior scores. And love was reduced to genetic compatibility and predictive data patterns. I began to cry. I asked God, what is left for humanity to hold on to? He looked at me for a long time and said, "If they still have truth and courage, they still have everything." I don't know how long I was in that place, but when I looked up one last time, I saw something that pierced me deeper than anything else. I saw the person I thought had vanished from my life, the one who had hurt me more than anyone, the one I swore I would never forgive. He stood among the marked, his face pale, his eyes void of soul. He looked at me and smiled, then whispered, "I don't remember how to pray anymore." I collapsed, and in that moment I understood why I had been shown all of this. Not to judge, but to return. Not to condemn, but to forgive. Not to escape, but to face it all, and to tell humanity that they are heading in the wrong direction. Not when it's too late, but now, this moment, while you still have the power to choose. What came next was the turning point. I'll tell you how I came back, what I said the moment I woke up, and why the very first words out of my mouth weren't my daughter's name, weren't "thank you, doctor," but 3 simple words that changed the rest of my life, and maybe yours too. When I opened my eyes, everything was blurry. The white light spilled around me like water overflowing. And then, the first thing I saw was a pair of eyes, trembling, tear-filled, and achingly familiar. Faith, my daughter. She was holding my hand so tightly, as if afraid I might disappear again. I could feel the pulse in her fingers, the electricity of her touch sinking into my skin, calling my soul back from the farthest place a human can go. The doctor said I had been unconscious for 11 minutes and in a coma for nearly 2 days. They couldn't explain how I came back. Every vital sign had dropped below recovery. They called it a miracle. But I knew it wasn't a miracle. It was a calling. When they asked if I remembered anything, I didn't answer. I just looked at Faith and whispered 3 words so softly that only she could hear. I forgive you. She broke down in tears and buried her face in my chest like a little girl all over again, just like 40 years ago when she came home from school after being bullied for the first time. I knew she understood. I wasn't speaking about her. I was speaking about everything. I forgave her father for leaving us. I forgave myself for letting resentment live inside me all these years. I forgave life itself for the losses I couldn't control. And let me be honest, the first thing that came to my mind wasn't Elon Musk. It wasn't Neuralink. It wasn't technology. It was forgiveness. Because after seeing it all, after watching the world digitize and lose its soul, I understood the first thing that's stolen isn't data. It's the heart. It's empathy. It's the ability to let go of old wounds and begin again with unconditional love. So I began to tell the vision piece by piece. Every image, every sound, every word he spoke, every corner of that cold city, every child stepped into the implant center, every lifeless stare, every slogan, every glimpse of the man I no longer hated, only pitied. Many people didn't believe me. Some mocked me, saying it was just a hallucination, my brain starved of oxygen. I didn't argue. I simply said this: I'd rather believe in the light I saw than believe this world is on the right path, when every day, piece by piece, we are forgetting how to love without conditions, how to live without the internet, how to touch without a screen between us, how to pray without someone needing to approve it. I'm not preaching. I'm not asking anyone to throw away their phones or reject technology. I'm just asking one question. If you were to die tomorrow, are you sure you'd still be you? Or have you already been replaced by an optimized version, one with enhanced emotions, intelligence, and memory, but missing the one thing that truly matters, your soul? When I saw him again, the man I once swore I would never forgive had aged. His back was hunched, his eyes dim, but the look in them was the same. And to my surprise, he was the one who came to find me after hearing my story on the local radio station. And the first thing he said wasn't, "I'm sorry." It was the question I had asked God so many times before. "Did you ever pray for me?" I didn't answer right away. I just looked at him for a long time, then slowly nodded. And at that moment, I knew the loop had closed. No more anger, no more resentment, nothing left between him and me. Nothing left between me and this life but one thing: freedom. Freedom to live each day as a gift. Freedom to love without needing to possess. Freedom to pray not out of fear, but because I now know there is a place and there is a presence that watches over us every second. I don't know how much longer I'll be in this world. The next time I leave, I may not come back. But this time, I am awake, and I hope you are too. Because you don't have to die to wake up, but you will die. And the real question is, will you wake up before your soul no longer belongs to you? I'm not telling this story to frighten you. I'm not telling it to judge you, to stir panic, to attack technology, or to stand against Elon Musk or anyone else. I'm simply sharing what I saw and what I felt deep in my soul when I had no body, no identity, no place left to hide except in the naked truth. I used to think forgiveness was a weakness, but it turns out holding on to resentment is what weakens the soul. I used to think God was silent, but he was simply waiting for me to be still enough to hear him. I used to think I was living rightly, but really, I was just living safely. If you still have your parents, call them. Don't wait until all you have left is a photograph to talk to. If you love someone, tell them. Don't wait for the right moment, because the right moment rarely arrives on its own. If there's something buried in your heart that still hurts, something you've been too afraid to face, it today. Not because you have time, but because you don't know how much time you have left. And to those living in a world of touchscreens, AI assistants, and personal data shared as casually as morning greetings, I only ask one thing. Carve out a small space each day to disconnect from everything else and reconnect with yourself. You may not believe what I saw. I understand. You may question everything I've shared, and that's okay. But if even the smallest part of you pauses and quietly wonders, what if it's true? Then I've done what I was meant to do. Because if someone like me, a 72-year-old woman who had lost her faith, who refused to forgive, who truly died, can wake up again, then so can you. And you don't have to wait until death to do it.